Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And you know, here in Australia, we have it good. If something goes wrong, you just dial 000, and within a few minutes, the police are here and they sort things out. Okay, they don't mess around, they sort things out. Not so good in South Africa. In fact, the police in South Africa are a complete and utter disgrace. And I'm talking largely about the black police officers. Their attitude is just abhorrent, and there is so much evidence of that out there in social media that you can't refute what I'm saying. Now, let me just add a bit of meat to the bone, because you've got to understand that some police in South Africa, I'm not saying a lot, but some police in South Africa are part of criminal gangs. They are part of the criminal element, and they protect the criminal element in places like Cape Town, Durban, Gauteng, wherever. They are ever present. And this is where white people who've been robbed or something like that unsuspectingly go into a police station and expect one of these criminals to actually take their case. That's why you get the attitude that you've seen so many times in the videos that I've posted here. Now, let me give you a couple of examples of how the police are involved in criminal activity in South Africa today. Completely ignored by the controlled mainstream media is the active involvement of black police officers in the murders of white South African farmers. Most recently, Janus Powell. Her father, Janus Powell, was fatally shot during a farm attack and shooting that took place between Hoopstad and Bloemhof in the northwestern province. The man managed to kill one of the attackers. One of the attackers was wearing a South African Police Service uniform, and others South African Police Service reflective jackets. They were heavily armed and driving a silver or white Camry that was fitted with blue lights. No registration number is available. There is no further information available at this stage. Hoopstad South African Police Service are investigating the murder. Now, that's ironical. That's very ironical, because you'll probably find the people investigating it were the ones who actually committed the murder. This is how crazy the South African Police Service is in South Africa. Police weapons have been used in farm attacks, not just personal weapons issued to every officer, but rifles that have been signed out from the station. We know police ammunition has been used in farm attacks, reveals a police sergeant. He says, "We have arrested serving members of the police during house robberies. Police weapons have been used in the attack, not just personal weapons issued to every officer, but rifles that have to be signed out from the station. We know police ammunition has been used in farm attacks." The victims of farm attacks have told reporters that the perpetrators went unpunished, that there were never any charges brought because the evidence was lost or the docket destroyed. Now, isn't that handy? You know, you work in the place where the docket is, so you just tear it to pieces and throw it away. And then you get off scot-free. This is the craziness of South Africa. In 2016, a doctoral thesis on cash and transit robbers in South Africa, who the author interviewed criminals in prison, made it very clear, for a price, it was easy to buy the cooperation of certain police officers. Services that could be bought included cooperation with the police to obtain rifles, a police safe house in which to store stolen money, the disappearance of police dockets, the investigating officer agreeing to be less than efficient in his investigations. It is devastating to realize that corrupt police are willing to equip farm attackers with arms and ammunition, are willing to conceal stolen cash for their cut. The sergeant also tells me that when a crime in progress is called in, there are routinely 16 or 17 cars out on patrol. He says typically only 2 of them respond. Some claim their radio stopped working, others say they were at lunch, And even when they do respond, they don't make an arrest because the perpetrator is a brother. And brothers are allowed to go free. These same black police officers in South Africa have virtually no interest or motivation to protect white people, and any white farmers who naively think that they will uphold their sworn duty to do so are merely setting themselves up for disappointment and even death. Even with overwhelming evidence against black criminals, police investigations often lead nowhere, and obviously guilty murderers walk free, not merely because the black officers are incompetent, which they are, if they're not drunk on the job, which there's plenty of evidence of that happening too, by the way, but because the victims are white. So if the victims are white, let it pass, let it go through to the keeper. We don't really care. And authorities are already claiming that the police officers involved in Powell's murder were bogus, not real police officers. Real police officers would never do such a thing. Of course, many blacks believe that race relations have improved since the fall of apartheid. But the media, which still portrays any white who attempt to defend themselves as toxic and racist, are just completely fake news. And now it gets even worse. Why do I say worse? Because, and this is a shout out to Marlena, now the police are involved directly in kidnapping people for money. Yeah, you heard me right. The South African Police Service. Here they are supposed to be protecting people, now they're kidnapping people. A report by the City Press claims that kidnappings are increasing exponentially in South Africa, with syndicates earning over 1 billion rand last year. An anonymous South African Police Service general told the City Press that these kidnappings were overwhelmingly the police and were threatening South Africa's national security. Do you get that? The kidnappings were overwhelmingly the police. The general said, the families of victims never report any crimes as they are threatened not to do so, because when you open up a docket, you've got to give all your address details, don't you? And guess who you're giving it to? The guy who's probably involved in the kidnapping. Yeah, that's just like taking out a hit job on yourself, isn't it? Anyway, the general goes on to say, in most cases, families of victims simply choose to pay the ransom and never involve the police. National Police spokesperson Vishnu Naidu also confirmed that several police officers have been arrested in connection with kidnappings. Naidu said, I can confirm without a fear of contradiction that a number of police officers have been arrested for colluding with kidnappers, but I cannot tell you the number, as I do not know it. The City Press claimed that the number of police officers arrested was at least 14. The South African Police Service General said that wealthy South Africans and foreign nationals were being targeted by the syndicates. Get that? Wealthy foreign nationals and tourists. So, if you're a tourist, and as I always say, you want to have a bit of extreme sports, come to South Africa. It's the only place in the world where you have a chance of being kidnapped by the South African Police Service, and then a bounty being put on your head before they release you, if they ever release you, if they don't kill you. Exciting stuff in South Africa, really it is. The South African Police Service General said that wealthy South Africans and foreign nationals were being targeted by the syndicates, particularly those from Asia, as well as those from neighbouring countries. People in South Africa allegedly arranged fraudulent documents for foreigners wanting to travel to the country, and once they've crossed the border, these foreigners are flagged by police. That is how they get kidnapped. The abductors contact their families in Asia, demanding a ransom for their release. Kidnappers frequently ask for over 1 million rand, said the general, and almost always want the ransom to be paid in Dubai via the Hawala banking system, an international remittance system that has allegedly been used to launder money and finance terrorism. You got to admit that these guys, I mean, they are so clued up. They are so professional at kidnapping and knowing all the different things they have to do, including how the payments have got to be made. This is a highly professional crime that's been undertaken by the South African Police Service. This is why I call South Africa the gangster state. Another police officer told the city press they believe the incidence of kidnappings will increase due to victims' families being willing to pay the ransoms. The officer was also worried that the perpetrators could have ties to terrorist organizations. The anonymous general said the kidnappings were not being managed efficiently, in part due to there being only 5 members in the police's kidnapping unit. The general said the capacity of the crime intelligence team is small and wholly insufficient to investigate such a big national threat. Kidnappings are on the rise, but we are more reactive than proactive because we are always forced to deal with kidnappings that have already taken place. There is a lack of investigation capacity, and most of the cases are not going anywhere in court. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. This is not the first time South African Police Service has been accused of irregular dealings this year. In January 2020, a report issued by the Public Protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, found a long-standing tender between South African Police Service and vehicle tracking company Tracker to be improper. Mkhwebane said the allegations that the agreement entered into between South African Police Services and Tracker results in Tracker improperly benefiting from state resources is substantiated. Tracker disputed these findings, stating that the tender process was not irregular. They said the Public Protector's findings were made against the backdrop that Tracker has been awarded the contract for the provision of vehicle tracking technology to South African Police Service in a series of open tender processes over the years. Tracker said that with regards to his 2018 and 2014 tender bids, it was the only bidder which adequately met the requirements. The tracking company said its technology makes the South African Police Service more efficient and effective, adding that it always welcomes the South African Police Service's efforts to partner with more than one vehicle tracking service provider. Now, I don't know about you, but really, Bheki Cele, the Minister of Police, is a complete and utter failure. He's a disgrace. You know, under his watch, this is what's happening in the South African Police Service. It's actually becoming more and more just an extension of the criminal gangs working in South Africa. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe.